last Wednesday. Say again?
7-game win streak going on.
7-game streak. They will be back in Milwaukee to play the Bucks on Wednesday night, but tonight down in Orlando against the Magic and Fernie Hardaway in the Orlando Magic.
Sure, whatever.
7 o'clock tip on MMS and on the iHeartRadio app. There's new Billy Joel music coming. That should excite some people. Billy Joel hasn't put out a new album since, in 31 years. So if you're a Billy Joel fan, he hasn't done anything at all new since 2007. But, he's been doing that residency at Madison Square Garden, and maybe that, got some of the creative juices going again. He said that he would play there once a month until people stopped coming. And he did 150 shows. He ended last July. That's 150 months. There's simply no way to know how many years that is. But it can't be that long, right? Was he doing it once a month?
Yeah.
That's 10 years.
Yeah.
He wasn't doing it for 10 years, was he?
Yeah, he was.
Wow. Well, anyway. So, all these people that were, all these older acts and artists that people said should have stopped a while ago, some of them are cranking out some of their best work in a long, long time. That new Rolling Stones album is really good. The Pretenders, Chrissie Hynde, the pride of Akron, Ohio. Her and a bunch of Brits. They take their sweet time in between albums, and the last thing they dropped was Dynamite. And so Billy Joel, after a 31-year drought of new music, is going to put something out. He hasn't done anything new since that River of Dreams album. Isn't that when you went to go see him?
Yeah.
1993.
93, yeah. Yeah, I saw him on that tour.
So Billy Joel is going to drop a new album February the 1st. Well, the first song is going to drop on February the 1st, called Turn the Lights Back On.
Nice.
I grew up in a house where a lot of Billy Joel was played, and I've only seen him once. I saw him on the Stormfront tour, which had to have been 89 or 90, because my girlfriend at the time was psychotic for Billy Joel. And so I took her, and it was a good show.
He's great.
But I've never seen him since. But you can certainly say, Bill, that he has waited the longest time to come back and do new things. And new things and new things and new things. Boy, yesterday was an exciting day of American football.
Boy,
I got to tell you.
Do I have at least one good, well, not even good story, just a crazy story from watching that late game.
My wife is a Detroit Lions fan. That is her home team, and so we were watching that. They were playing Baker Mayfield and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and I can't help but always root a little bit for somebody that has played for the Browns. And as they're getting down this last drive, there's under 2 minutes of this game yesterday. Detroit's up by 8. Baker Mayfield making some good drives. He spent a lot of time on the ground yesterday, too. But he's making some good drives. Dude's got a rocket back there. And as they're trying to score again in under 2 minutes, all I'm thinking is he better not rush it and throw an interception. And that's exactly what he did.
Well, yeah.
Exactly what he did.
Exactly.
Here comes that pressure. Mayfield in the middle. It's intercepted. It's Derek Barnes. It's off to San Francisco for the Lions.
And, of course, Baker Mayfield just leans over. And then the Bills game. The curse of Ray Finkel up there in Buffalo. A bad reminder to the Buffalo Mafia that that was not a fun time for them either. Tyler Bass, who is a good kicker. They just re-signed this dude for $7 million a year. He's a good kicker.
Yeah.
Didn't make it happen.
The game on the line, he will. 44 yards, Bass. No, he doesn't make it. Wide right. The two most dreaded words in Buffalo.
There are Bills fans crying. They couldn't stop showing Bills fans crying. 27-24, the final there against Kansas City. So Detroit plays the 49ers. That guy Brock Purdy, he was the last dude drafted, yeah?
Yeah.
And then the Chiefs will play the Ravens.
Yep.
And then, of course, the last two standing will be in your superb owl in a few weeks. But that wide right, they do not like those words in Buffalo. If you know your Bills history, wide right, not a phrase that they want to hear.
Coming soon, Buffalo 67, written and directed by Vincent Gallo.
What is that?
It's the movie that he wrote about Scott Norwood missing
is that what that?
kick, and like some like degenerate gambler lost a bunch of money on that, and like goes on a
He
bender
missed
or
the kick in the
something.
early 90s.
Yeah,
I see.
So it's a movie that loosely is based around that kick that Scott Norwood missed in the 90s, in 1990.
Bills fans were hitting Patrick Mahomes with snowballs as he left. The Travis Kelce was waving to people as he walked off the field. Of course, they were
Jason Kelce
booing
was
and
going crazy,
crying.
taking his shirt off and partying
Yeah.
with Taylor Swift.
Yep.
There's something.
He had a
I
Bud
need
Light
to-
in hand. That's the kind of take that, Kid Rock.
I need to explore why that's the sexiest Jason Kelsey's ever been to me. Like when
Because you
people-
like fat gingers.
Wait, he's not ginger. When people were like, "Oh, he's sexiest man alive. He's sexiest man of the year," or whatever, I was like, I don't see it. And then to see him being just a crazed football fan with his shirt off, I was like, all right, I see it.
Ew.
I can see it a little bit.
Well, there's an animal magnetism there, right? A big
Yeah.
hairy dude. It's cold
Yes.
out. He's got his shirt off. He's drinking
He's not
beer.
like a fat slob. He's like chubby a
No,
little bit, like,
He's
but you
chubby,
can tell.
But he's like strong.
Yeah, that's
Farm boy
exactly
strong.
Yep. So I was watching the Bills and Chiefs game at a bar in Lakewood where a comedian friend of mine does a show where on Sunday night, whatever Sunday night game there is, comedians watch along with it and make jokes about it, and they do trivia and stuff like that. It's really fun, and it got a little weird at the end because this drunk girl, like around halftime, this drunk girl shows up and she's like, "I want to tell a joke," and everybody's like, "No, we shouldn't do that." And then one of my comedian friends is kind of
You're up there. They're up there with a mic.
yeah, they got mics, and my buddy Logan Rishaw, he kind of likes to stir the pot, and he's very unassuming shrimp stirrer. And he's like, okay, and he hands her the mic, and I see the guy, Zach, that runs the show, just like, oh my God, don't give her the mic. Please don't give her the mic. And she's got it, and she's trying to tell a knock-knock joke, and everybody's just messing with her, and then she gives the mic back and goes and continues to drink heavily. And about an hour later, she comes back, and this time they're like, "We're not giving you a mic." And she's like, "Give me the mic." And then there's a guy that's watching the game, and he's commenting on the game, and it's around the time that kick happened, and he's a Buffalo Bills fan, and he goes, "That bitch." And she takes that as him yelling at her, and she gets all crazy and starts calling him the N-word and freaking out at him.
Oh my
And,
God.
He's
like,
black.
Yeah, he's black, and starts like ripping the stuff off the table, like the tablecloth off the table, and throwing drinks at people. And so then we got to escort her out. Her friends like trying to wrangle her, and so it was just a really awkward ending to that night because, that was it wasn't like a ton of people there, but it was definitely enough that it was a scene.
And so they end up kicking her out.
Yeah.
And people watching a game don't mind people on a mic joking during the game.
Well, that's what the whole idea is. It's in a room by itself, so you
I
come
see.
in there.
They know what they're getting into.
You get into.
I got you.
Yeah.
Okay.
You go, hey.
They're not in the
over
body
in
of the
this side
bar.
of the bar, there you can just watch the game. Over on this side of the bar, there's commentary and trivia, and you can win free drinks. And that's,
Yeah, okay.
You know, it's a production.
Yeah.
And it's a lot of fun. I've been a guest on the panel before, and it's a good time. This time it just got a little crazy. Also, this game started at 6:30, so by the time this girl was blackout drunk, it wasn't even 8 o'clock. She was hammered.
Partying all day.
Yeah. And she was admitting it. And
Do you think she had floated in from the other room?
well, she did, yeah.
Probably have been a couple places.
Yeah,
that
she had
day.
been drinking around town all day and just saw something she could disturb and try and get attention from. And
And she
it
did.
was, woof. But then when she dropped that N-bomb, everybody's like, all right, this is a little crazy.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, it's bound to happen.
I mean,
Somebody's going to
doesn't-
drop that word.
Not necessarily.
It happens a lot.
It does
We know
happen.
that. Let's be real.
It happens a lot, but it doesn't
Drunk white
have
girls.
to, yeah.
Yeah. Let me give you this money. It's $1,000 from the Buzzard Bookie. Listen closely. You got a couple more of these left today, and good luck.
This is your chance to bet with the Buzzard Bookie and win $1,000 now. Enter this nationwide keyword at WMMS.com. Cash. That's cash. Enter it now at WMMS.com.
I was reading the article where they're already talking about why the people who are in charge of these things, why isn't the Super Bowl pay-per-view?
Oh, come on.
The
Why do
guy,
they want to steal all our money all the time?
the guys over at ESPN, because these services are scrambling for every possible dollar, because everybody's eyeballs are so fragmented, and so they're like, look, we got 115 million people watching. That's far and away more than anything else throughout the year. And so the conversations are being had. It seems silly that we're giving this to people for free, because they're like, let's assume half of the people who watch the Super Bowl would pay to watch it. Now, they say $20, but you know you're full well it'll be a hell of a lot more than $20
Like
if they
50
start.
to 60.
Yes, of course, $200.
I
If
don't
they
think
make
they're
it
200.
pay-per-view Super Bowl, I would pay for the Super Bowl.
I wouldn't.
I would.
I wouldn't at protest.
I probably wouldn't, because it's why?
I don't
My
know.
team's not in it.
No, but I mean, if you're going to have a part, I mean, most people's teams aren't in the Super Bowl.
Right.
But it's still 115 million people. Those are just the fans of the two teams that are in it.
Right.
So people are having parties and watching things like that. I would prefer to have it for free, but I think people who think that are saying that they're crazy,
I would go
they're
to
not
somebody else's
crazy.
party maybe, but I'm not paying for it.
Somebody else. So you go to somebody else's party.
They have
Would you pay them like if they have $5 at the door?
maybe,
Like-
but also like
Cover.
if they're gonna make the Super Bowl with a pay-per-view, I don't want any commercials. I'm not sitting through commercials if I got to pay for it.
Correct.
Yeah, but don't people watch the Super Bowl for the commercials?
No, they watch it because they know that there's going to be, that's like the price of doing business. If you're going to watch it for free, then you're going to get.
Well,
sent
no,
ads.
no. I'm saying the Super Bowl commercials. People don't just
They are
consider
hyped
them
up,
like
but, like, if
Yeah,
I'm-
no one
But I'm
wants
not gonna
them.
watch the commercials. Like I don't want commercials if I have to pay for like if it's pay-per-view. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, people have found new and creative ways to sell us things, but that doesn't mean we're okay with being sold everything.
Well, I mean, people aren't canceling their subscriptions because there's ads being added to their favorite streaming service. You know, Amazon is betting that people won't pay an extra $3 a month to keep the ads away. You know, Amazon in a few days is switching to their ad tier. A week from today, Amazon starts ads on Prime. And they're like, we're going to make so much money on this from advertising because we're assuming most people are not going to spend the extra $2.99 a month to keep it ad-free. So you had to, when they sent you the email, there was a link. It was really tiny because they don't want people doing it. Really tiny link. Hey, if you want to opt out and pay us an extra $2.99 a month, here you go. You can pre-order it, and then when it goes live on the 29th. Now, I'm doing that because $3 a month is not that much money. And every other service now has ads in it. And I'm like, yeah, I'll do that. I don't care. But that's how they think. They're like, look, we're banking on the fact that most people are not going to want to do that. Because if you subscribe to Prime, it used to be like $70 a month. And now they're like, oh, it's, or $70 a year or whatever. It was $70 a year. And now it's like $160 a year. And people are like, what the hell am I getting for this? So I can't believe it took them this long for somebody to go, why don't we make the Super Bowl pay-per-view? I mean, the NFL only makes $18 billion a year in revenue. Imagine what they could add on to that. Because it'll be on Peacock, right? I mean, I think they're the ones that have ownership of whatever. I don't know who's airing the Super Bowl this year, but I think they're talking about it would be Peacock. And 23 million people watched last year's Super Bowl. That ain't 115. So, they're going to try to figure that out. But the NFL accounts for 93 of the top 100 broadcasts in any given year. So they got a lot of people who are like, yeah.
That's really
They're talking about 99,
This
90.
year it's on CBS.
CBS.
So Paramount Plus and, whatever your local CBS affiliate is.
The figure they're floating is $99.99 to watch the game. So $100 to watch the Super Bowl.
Well, I don't have no money, so I will go to somebody else's house. Like I don't pay for my Amazon. I don't pay for my Netflix. Like I ain't got no money, so I'm just gonna go to somebody else's house.
Right.
So charge what you want.
Yeah, I mean $100 to watch the Super Bowl. You'd make $6 billion just on the Super Bowl. That's like more than the NHL makes all season.
Now, would they be surprised if no one does that? Like what if out of protest?
Yes, I think they would be really surprised if no one paid to see the biggest game of the entire year.
Well, I'm saying, like, even what if most people don't do it and they're like, well, no, screw that. Like, most people will go to someone else's house that has the money, and then you get 1/3 of what you were anticipating.
Well, that's what they're banking on. They're like, hey, if even half of the people do this, if we even got 50%, and that's how they're selling it too. That's how you convince people who are in charge. You go, listen, guys, not everybody's going to do this, but if we get half of the people to do it, we're going to make a ton of money.
I think people would be incredibly upset about it.
People are always, but that's what it comes down to. People are always mad when prices of things go up, and then they go, well,
but
the people in charge are like, fine, don't watch it then.
But it's not going up. It was an admission charge. Like, or it was
yeah,
a charge
they're adding
that didn't
a charge
even exist.
to something that never had a charge.
We're not talking
before.
about like a Chipotle burrito going up $1 or $2.
No, I understand, but it's
something that has been free for 50+ years.
But it still comes down to, if you talk about the price of food or something going up, that's something that, let's use Chipotle as an example. That's something that people consume frequently. So then the individual person has to go, okay, the price of this is going up, so that means I'm going to consume it less frequently. But it's still at intermittent. The Super Bowl.
But it was never free.
Understood. But if the Super Bowl, where they go, it's once a year, will you spend $100 a year on this game?
And I'm saying,
I bet a lot of people
as
go,
a big
yeah.
football fan, I would say, no, not unless the team that I cheer, like I'm not going to do it.
People are
And
going
I
to take
think there's 4 people on this show, and you're the only one that said they would.
And it's a revolt because I think people would be like, okay, they would take it up with their provider. Like, because wasn't there like a thing where, was it Disney Plus that wasn't having ESPN or wasn't showing football games anymore or something like that? And people were mad because they said it was included in their subscription, and then they changed the game on them once they ordered.
Yeah, maybe, because Disney and Hulu and ESPN are all bundled now.
If they worked out a deal where, all right, well, we will provide you with a Super Bowl, like they'll include it in your package because cable was never free. So if they say, I think that's what they'll do. They'll start discounting it because all of these networks have partners with, the other NFL networks and whatever.
Well, that's the thing, too. It would be different if all of these were separate entities, but there's really only about 4 entertainment companies left. So they go, well, let's dip our toe in this water. Now, this is not something they're going to do next year, but, I mean, they're obviously going to talk about it. Hey, because once people get more used to paying for things, either more or paying for things outright that used to be, free, they go, well,
that's why I don't get used to it because I just don't pay.
I mean, people do have a finite amount of money. They do need to remember that, too. Yeah, and if you take it from one spot, you're going to give it to another spot. So
it doesn't seem like they're acting like people have a finite amount of money.
Well,
they're not acting like that. They assume.
Well, because they don't care.
There's a lot of discrepancy.
There's a bottomless pit of money that the American people are willing to do. And so far, you people have shown them that you will pay it.
You people.
You people. You 1%ers like Alan.
I'm not a 1%er.
Big, stupid elite trying to buy cable and different channels and stuff. Who do you think you are?
This is the guy who wants me to break a piece off for him.
Mm-hmm.
He's sweet and he's really buttered me up.
Yeah.
No, I ain't no 1%er. I'm just saying that there are a lot of people who would have to do that calculus, and they would go, all right, $100, Super Bowl. I mean, I think they'd have to throw something in to sweeten the deal.
You can pay. It would be $100, but you pay $25 for your friend to get it on boot, and then you have your own little Super Bowl party the day after.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't.
Sounds like a plan.
Yeah.
I'm going to break here. You want to get a text, 35192 to get to me there. AlanCoxShow.com for everything else.
The Alan Cox Show on 100.7 WMMS. And everywhere you go on our free iHeartRadio app. There are many harsh lessons.